Hey,
Hi.
greetings.
Greetings.
It is
Grand Rising.
awakening, or good afternoon, or good evening. Here we go.
Here we go. We're back at it again with another episode. Can you believe it?
Episode 12.
Oh my God.
Yo.
All right, guys.
Yo.
So, the topic for this episode is... Can you guys guess?
We are all the same, even though we have differences.
Yes, we are all the same, even though we have differences. And what is a difference, really? So that is the topic that we'll be exploring today.
What does that mean for you?
What does that mean? How does that show up?
Do you think you're different than someone else? Do you think that there's someone who is better than you or less than you? Are you less than someone? Are you better than someone? What creates that?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Do you have a leader? Do you have a guru? Are you being the follower or are you being the leader? Is there a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Hey.
Yeah.
So let's start off with a question. So let's see. I think we'll both pull and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. We're pulling from the deck.
We're not really strangers. Wow.
Should I start or should you start?
I think you should start.
Okay. So this card is very interesting because it's a reminder.
Okay.
Let go of your attachment to the outcome.
Oh, wow. That's needed and powerful. Wow. Aw. That just hits so good for me right now. I love that.
Interesting why, but go ahead.
I've never even seen a reminder card.
Yes.
Wow.
So to our listeners
Yeah.
and our viewers, just a reminder, let go of your attachment to the outcome. What can the outcome be?
Yeah.
When I'm attached to it and I already know what it's going to be. Is that, something I've neatly controlled and tucked? Or is it possible for me to allow myself to let it go and experience possibly a different outcome?
Mm-hmm. And so then this question, I guess it's for both of us. We do that anyway, but what do you admire most about me? So many things to choose from.
What do I admire most about you? I would have to say your tenacity.
And expand on that.
I think that your ability to go in and truly reestablish yourself, reconnect with yourself, it takes courage and tenacity to be able to do that. And you couldn't do it if that wasn't something that was already built inside of you. It's nothing that you can fake. It's nothing that you can put a garment on and say, I'm going to be this way because I'm wearing this or I'm behaving this way. I just think that it takes courage to be who you are. And so that takes tenacity.
Thank you. On that same kind of vein, I guess the thing that I most admire about you, I think, is your resilience and your ability to go deep and far and wide into unknown spaces and unknown territories and still bring yourself fully and be present for whatever experience is there to unfold. I would say that's the thing that I admire most about you. Throughout seasons of life, I can see it as it, what's the unknown?
Yeah.
How it expands and then, perspectives change, but it's just and your thought is like malleable, as in like you don't really have any fixed notions that are like, and maybe that's something that's been developed, but your ability to entertain what else is possible, I guess, right?
Definitely built muscle.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't just show up and I became that person or that woman or had the ability to do that. So it's been through the years of noticing and being with and allowing, So let's jump on into the topic
of our conversation. Differences. What are they really? Interesting question. Interesting points of view. Perspectives. Realities, yeah. Because what is different to you, what you perceive as different, is something that you are experiencing outside of yourself.
Or something you maybe feel like you lack.
Yeah. But again, it's something that's outside of yourself, outside of you, you know? Right. So the difference doesn't necessarily have to be something negative as in like this person is, but it's like the difference is something that you cannot or you don't feel, you don't have the space or the energy to hold it within yourself, to hold it as like an integrated piece of yourself.
So is this different in people's behavior? Would you say like when we interact with people, right, do we automatically discover the difference? Or is it a judgment that we have that create that difference?
I think it depends. I think that when it comes to like interactions that you have with people, I think that I think I'm always surprised to find out how unique people are, how unique their journey is, how unique their life has been, how maybe different in my own perception than my own. So that's like a level of, I would just say unique rather than maybe different in the way that you kind of interact with people. And that's something that you can notice. But I think there's also another aspect to the difference, and that's where a lot of the judgment lives, where something different to me is othered and it is seen as something that is greater than, less than, but not on the same playing field, not in the same realm. Like if I'm in the circle, that's out the circle. That's not in my own realm of life or possibility or experiences.
So the question is, what happens to you when you engage or interact with something different or someone different, or let's just say you meet a culture that's different, you meet a modality that's different that you've never heard of, or you play with like just any form of differences. Like it can come in religious differences.
Yeah.
You walk into somebody and they are Christian or they Buddhist.
Yeah.
And where's the sameness for us in that? And also the difference, because their belief is obviously, in our opinion, different than what our belief is, but everybody seems to be on some level in a belief of what I hold sacred is sacred to me. So we are the same in whatever it is we hold sacred.
Yeah.
Cultures may change, languages may change, skin colors may change, but are we really that much different from the person that we haven't taken the opportunity to get to know yet?
Yeah. I think like sometimes, and this is interesting because this is kind of in my own perspective and opinion, a part of like the cyclical nature of life. Sometimes you can look at someone and maybe you see the exterior and maybe you see the surface. And so on that surface, then of course there are differences. Of course, I'm looking at you. I'm black, you're white. That's a difference right there. I believe in this, you believe in that. I'm a woman, you're a man. So there's these like differences when it comes to, I guess, ways that we show up and how we're created and how we express ourselves and frameworks that we believe in and societal rules that we adhere to. I think so there's a difference there. I think when we zoom in and we look closer underneath whatever we perceive as that difference, if we challenge ourselves to explore it more, I think you often find that it's just more the same. Right. We just find more the same.
Right. Wow, that's something to consider, because I love to say everybody have their music. And whatever your music is, you tend to dance to your own music.
Yeah.
And when somebody else's music come towards you, it can be a dance of confusion, confrontation, assumption.
Yeah.
And basically, those are things that you are holding. You haven't really met that person.
Exactly.
So for the past couple of weeks, I've been doing a study with what differences in people trigger me.
Yeah.
And how is that showing up for me? And I found a list of characteristics that immediately send me on like this slight judgment of the person's character, but I don't know them. So I've been sitting with myself and I've been unpacking, okay, what is it about this personality? Then I don't have to talk about that person.
Exactly.
It's that personality. And I can take the problem outside of the person, because the person, they're, in my opinion, just like me.
Yeah.
They aren't very different than me, because they have things that also hit them. And it's like, ooh, that feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't want to dance to that music.
Yeah.
Why can't I dance to that music? What allows me to either love or hate in that music? And is there anything in between it?
Yeah.
And how do we truly process, when I see this character or this personality or these characteristics, how do I receive them?
Yeah.
How do I receive that in a way that I can say, wow, that's beautiful? Last night was a beautiful night for me.
Yeah.
I accomplished something that I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it's been a 3-month plan, just receiving of an instruction and being obedient. And last night, as we sat around the table and the room was full and people were asking questions and the guests came and they interacted, it was just a moment of utter gratitude. Everybody in the room was different, but everybody in the room shared something that was the same.
Yeah.
And in that moment, we were so interconnected and so united. You could feel the unity and the oneness, and the appreciation. You could also feel the fear, the unknown, the panic, the oh my God, what happens if I lose control? And the night ended with me actually having a wonderful conversation, engagement, and experience, and then coming back to the location and actually falling.
Yeah.
And the fall was a fall. When I started falling, it was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And I have this beautiful concept that I came up with a long time ago, that if I trip, I say thank you for not letting me fall.
Yeah.
And if I fall, I say thank you for letting me fall.
Yeah.
And if I break something, I say thank you for allowing me to just break it.
Yeah.
And if perhaps it lead me to death, I say thank you for allowing me to pass over.
Yeah.
And so it's like, no matter what happens, I divinely guide myself back to thank you.
Yeah.
And divinely guide myself back to all the noise that's around. When I fell, was people around, and it was, a possibility that somebody put something on me because they was at that moment having a discussion about me and something I did. And it's easy to buy into that. It's easy to go, oh my God. But because I really diligently work on not allowing fear or the fear factor or some external from me can actually harm me, I work really, really diligent and graciously not to allow that to settle inside of me.
Yeah.
So I immediately in my mind was like, no, I failed. And even if the person on the sideline bust out laughing and it was a confirmation, I don't know what her confirmation was or what that was about her. So I sat with it. I broke my oil in my purse. I dumped my purse. I cleaned it out.
Yeah.
And then I walked back to the physical space. Because if perhaps there's a portal open in that space for another person to fall, I wouldn't want that to happen. And if in fact my body is going to experience trauma from that experience, I want to go back to the space.
Yeah.
Because the ground couldn't have harmed me. The ground was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And the ground is hard. So when I made contact with something hard, I got bruised.
Yeah.
Like, so there's no need for me to say, oh my God, start creating all these stories about what's going on around me. And I walked home and I was just still so filled with gratitude and with love and thanksgiving, first of all, for being obedient.
Yeah.
And second of all, for people joining in that experience of me listening to a call and then following through on it.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting on differences and sameness.
Yeah.
Because the sameness is whatever was being discussed about me, 9 times out of 10, it was because I feel left out. Not because I have something personal against Rukwama. You don't even know Rukwama.
Yeah.
You don't know what process I'm going through. You don't know what inner voice led me to do that. And I can understand on a soul level how people feel left out from stuff. And so that will cause you to feel like you need to say something either uncomfortable, because you're feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. It's not towards me. You're having an uncomfortable moment with
within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just thought about how when we tap into the underlying nature of our shared humanity, right? When we look at it and see it as just that, and knowing that we are all human at the end of the day, if we can find that shared link, then what really are the differences? What could the differences really be? How fundamental and how impactful are the differences really, if under all of that difference there's a shared link of humanity, there's a shared link of the breath that we all breathe, and the air that we all breathe.
We share
that we share, and nobody is in control of the air, and only, we can breathe this air, and,
or this amount
of air, bodily functions, we all have them.
And when they malfunction, we all desire to have them.
Yeah.
We all desire to have them as we know them to be.
Exactly.
And it's just a malfunction, but it's not necessarily
an inherent difference on the baseline. So I think that on the baseline, I think there's that thread of shared humanity and connection. And I think that the ability to tap into that underneath anything else. So if a person that's standing in front of me is, in my perspective, in my opinion, opposed to me in every way, shape, and fashion, and they don't believe anything that I believe in, and they're standing in front of me saying things that I have never thought of and I would never co-sign, and it sounds crazy to me, and I look at them and they dress differently, and I can have all this judgment and all this opinion about it, but if we broke down to it, when it goes down to it, there's that shared link of humanity that lives between us. And when you're able to acknowledge that, then I think it's a lot easier to meet the person as a person,
right,
on a person-to-person level, and not on, I'm meeting an ideal, I'm meeting a perception. Now I have to defend an idea. Now I have to defend a whole concept in a whole world. When in reality, I'm just face-to-face with one person that is more, in my perspective at least, more alike to me, more similar to me, more connected to me than whatever perceived differences exist within us. And I think about, like, if somebody came to this planet and it was an alien from outer space, and they were going and they were saying, okay, so these are birds, these are cats, these are dogs, these are humans. I don't think that a person that's coming and seeing it from far, I don't think they're too concerned about this one is black, this one is white, male, female, when we all fit into that one category from a very far out lens. That's a connection that we all have. And, like, let's say even when you think about you look at a bird. What if in the world of birds, that bird's beak is a centimeter too short? And they looking at that bird, yeah. And they laughing at that bird. The birds is laughing at that bird. Your beak too short. Your beak is way too short. Or this one has a mix of a red feather and the yellow feathers, and he's so different. But when you look at those birds as a human being, you look at those birds and that's a bird. You're not too tapped into the details. So I think like that same
details,
that same link or that same thread is how I've like developed in my own mind through, you know, whatever life experiences. That perspective that like we're all, there's this shared thing. And I just thought about that. I'm like, I think I was able to develop that perspective because I have just met so many people.
Right.
I've met so many people from so many different places. And I think maybe when we're more closed in and we don't know the other person, so we've never met another person from a community in a world that is not like ours. We haven't met another person from a country that is not ours, from a belief system that is not ours, you know, ours. But so it's easy to judge what you don't know and when you don't have to come into direct contact with. And I think that even with a person that you think is insanely vile and they're this and they're that, and you may have so much judgment about them and how different they are from you, and you're not the type of person that would do that. That's the type of person, if you're the type of person that would do this, like it's a lot of like judgment in that tone and in that notion. And if you could sit in a movie theater and watch that person's life play out from beginning to end, from conception to the point that they are now, including the internal feelings, including the messages, including the conditioning, including the full life experiences, then your ability to meet that person is going to be from a whole different perspective. Like sometimes even we have friends or people that we know, family members, whatever, and they can do something that if somebody else did that, I'm overly off that. I could judge you from here to Timbuktu. Why would you leave your house like that? You know, you could have any kind of judgment, any kind of opinion. Oh my God, this is this type of person. You know them, they do this. You know, it's this whole narrative structure that goes on. And if that was a person that you knew closely, intimately, personally, and you know the back ends, not even fully, but just enough of their life, then that gets filtered through a whole different lens. Because now I'm looking at her, I'm like, but you know when she, but you know, and that's not, in my own perspective, it's not necessarily excusing or pathologizing it. It's more our ability to extend compassion.
And genuine curiosity.
Exactly.
Genuine curiosity to who this person is.
Exactly.
Like, it's something that just, it sparks the inside of me to know more about what was your journey like? Yeah. What's your story? Because we all came here. We all living out a journey and a story. And is the story really important? Or can we look past the story and say, wow, Auntie just really need a hug.
Yeah.
I could see in her spirit that she need a hug.
Yeah.
And then am I willing to lean over and give Auntie a hug?
Yeah.
Or am I going to reject her from receiving something that's so innate for me because she doesn't behave the way I think she behaved, or because somebody told me something about her.
Now I have a preconceived notion and opinion about who this person is and how they operate.
And I need to treat them the way you perceive them.
Yeah.
But that's your lenses that perceive them in that way. And I'm not in your body. I don't see through your eyes. So when we share stories about people, are we building these stories for admiration, for dread, for just pulling your coattail to tell you what this person is like? Because admiration and pulling my coattail to tell them what they're like, you are still in my opportunity to get to know this person, from my own lenses. Maybe I'm going to have an interaction with them, and I don't want all the preconceived notions built inside of me because John told you this, or Susan told you this, or you interacted with them on Tuesday. Tuesday, they was having a Tuesday day.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, they having a Wednesday day.
Look.
I might meet them on Saturday, and a Saturday, they are a whole nother person.
Saturday, it's their weekend.
Right?
It's the weekend, man. They in a whole different mood. They're in a whole different.
Yeah, it's just. I can't say don't. Who am I to tell you what not to do? But I would say be curious about who you meet every time you meet them. And meet them anew every time you meet them. With my clients, it's like I'm always just waiting to meet them again. Because whatever trauma or drama or situation or story or music that was awkward for them, that came to them, that was what came to them. Now let me see what we can create today.
Yeah.
And it gave me so much internal and external joy to see how we can play together, right? I've met a lot of people as well. Surely I look forward to meeting a lot more because I love working with people and interacting with people and engaging and just sitting at everybody's feet because you are the author of your own story. So if I sit at your feet, I get to hear your narrative of your book. And my preconceived notions usually are 1,000 times incorrect because I don't know who you really are. I don't know
who you really are. And I think also that idea that we really know who somebody, I'm going to tell you who this person is. I'm going to let you know, oh, you just haven't met them yet. Oh, you just don't know them yet. It's just it's an interesting point of view and it's an interesting perspective. And it does, I think, limit the curiosity aspect of when I meet a person, how am I able to engage with them? Mm-hmm. But I think that's also how curious are you about your own self? How curious are you about the things that maybe make you unique and make you different? Or do you condemn those within yourself? Do you judge those within yourself? So your ability to meet somebody else at that difference may be at your window of tolerance for it may just be very low because your ability to meet yourself and your own perceived difference and your own perceived maybe even rejection of yourself or perception. I think in a lot of cases, let's say when you interact with maybe people of a different race and you have a preconceived notion about how they are and okay, white people are like this. And so that person did that to you because they're white and you're black and they feel like this about you. Oh, they was just racist.
They was just racist on one hand. On the other hand, if you find that one person that you know about, let's just say black people, you know the story about black people and black people act this way. And when you meet that one person who doesn't act that way, oh, you're different than them.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Like, oh, you're not like the rest of them. Yeah. Have you met everybody? Yeah. Like, people walk around like they met every single person in the world, talk to every single person in the world, every single person in a certain class, in a certain community, in a certain environment, and now you've decided and you've made this
people hate everybody. Hate me.
Everybody
there
hate me.
8 million people.
How could everybody know? But don't nobody know you.
Not the 8 million. So when you say everybody, all the when you use the word everybody or it's so
all these
or all of that or you make it a totality. I just would like to pose to you a question: is it really a totality, or is it one person? And then when you think about like everybody I know hate me. Okay, so I know 20 people. 20 people hate me. In the percentages of 8 billion people, how many people is that? And are there other people you can meet? Because maybe like I started with the characteristics and the behaviors and the personality traits that don't automatically resonate with me because it's unfamiliar to me.
Yeah.
Do I automatically create these stories in my head about this person? I don't know this person for real. I get the joy, the intimate joy for people to share their path with me.
Yeah.
So I get to know Susan Smith, not Susan, all the Susans in the world. Yeah. I know Susan Smith, and Susan Smith may come from a family of 10, and all of those 10 people may be totally different. But I only got to know Susan Smith, and I only got to know her in this window of time.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
get
in this section of her life, and on this day, and on this chapter, and on this
and the part
journey,
she wants to tell
exactly
tell
how much we want to share, how much we're willing to even be vulnerable enough with each other to share, because I think a lot of judgment and a lot of preconceived notions and a lot of difference could be met with more compassion, more vulnerability, and conversation. Because if you had a real conversation with that person that you're judging is so different than you, you might come to find out that, okay, maybe we're different in these ways, or maybe, you know, they grew up like this, I grew up like this. But there tends to always be a thread of connection, a thread of something that connects you to the person that's in front of you.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I think about often how maybe people in my own life, but I guess this is everybody in their own lives as well, how people have perceived me and how people have judged me. And that's Mazal
tov. Just the question I was going to ask with these beads. That's even more beautiful. Thank you. Even more beautiful. That's even. That's now. If you can see this table, wow! What a concept! What a concept!
Look.
If
y'all could tap into the details.
Oh
my! Right now.
My.
Look at all of these different beads.
What do they have in common, though?
What do they have in common?
They're all beads.
This is good, like, sensory play.
Yeah, but they're all beads. They can be used by different personalities, characters, people, races, in different ways. They can mean something different.
Yep.
Ultimately, it's a bead. It's a bead. So it's a gold one, it's a long one, it's a short one, it's a red one, it's a purple one. That's just how we are.
Yeah.
That's how humanity is for me.
Yeah.
And, oh, wow. So the next time
sometimes we fall out of the container, but look at us. We're still here.
Oh, my. This is so beautiful. Because literally they just fell out the container, and I was really going to show it to you in the container to show you that there are different, like, colors or aspects of these beads. But in reality, they're all beads. They're different sizes. They have different textures, but they are beads. And this is not all the beads in the world. Yeah. This is a small contained version or portion of beads.
Yeah. And then think about, these are the beads that I picked up. I went and I bought these little beads. So these were the beads that resonated with me. Right. There's so many other beads in the world for so many other people, for so many other uses, and the way that I'm going to use these beads and the creation that I'm going to make with these beads is going to be different than the creation that anybody else takes and thinks to create with these beads, with the color, with the size. And just think about the individual bead that somebody actually made or created, or a machine. Somebody made the machine that created it. And it's all here with me, and these are the beads that I get to interact with.
I love this process.
Yeah.
So grateful. Even this moment is a same moment but a different moment.
Yeah.
Because when the beads fell out, it was like, yo, that wasn't anticipated.
At all.
Goes back to letting go of the outcome.
Yeah.
Because the outcome was that I was going to share the story through using the beads as a metaphor, or as a visual for you to be able to see, to be able to tell a story. And now they gave us all the visual we can find.
And look, y'all, I'm telling you, this just inspired something different in me with these beads, because what I'm planning on doing with them, I wasn't really planning on doing anything with these specific ones, but as I've just seen them all laid out together, an idea has come to mind. So
as you see people, what idea can come to your mind? What can you actually create within yourself? Because ultimately everything that we share, it is not about them or what they're doing or how they're doing it. It's about me and how I interact with whatever that is.
Yeah.
So when I encounter something that's different, that I feel is different, and I want to admire it, and I want to, oh my God, bow down to it, because it's just the most divine thing or the most holy thing I've ever seen. And in the same token, when I see something that is just so disgusting, it's the most disgusting interaction I ever had.
Yeah.
Like, be curious about what can be created through this, through me.
And what is this showing me about myself? What
Right.
is this reflecting me about myself? Maybe not the best, but an easy way to see yourself is in contrast. So what do you consider different? Because the thing that I look at it and I look at somebody and I say, well, that specific attribute or that trait is different to me. You may be looking at something completely different. The difference to you is made up of your own idea of who you are and who you're supposed to be and who other people, maybe are supposed to be and how they're supposed to engage and interact. And sometimes you see somebody and you're like, why are they acting like that? Like, I don't understand why they would act like that. They're their own person.
Were you in their creation process? Were you in their womb story?
Yeah.
Do you know when their parents were procreating them or having sex, and they went through the gestation periods and every one of them? Do you know what their mother, their father, their household, the culture, the community, do you know what any of that, what was going on with them?
Yeah.
Because we
and how they felt,
right?
And what was the impact on them? What were their thoughts? What were their
stories
opinions?
did they have?
Yeah.
What did they experience? That was one part of it. But every day that they arrived on in the outside world, they began to build their own narratives with things that they saw, the things that they felt, with things that they experienced, that they shared or didn't share.
Yeah.
Because my 3-year-old self experienced things that I never had an opportunity to share with nobody because I didn't even know it was shareable. And then my 8-year-old self and my 13-year-old self, every version of myself, there's a story that I never share with anybody that quietly sits inside of me. So when we interact with somebody else, remember that all the ages of their life has been present for them.
Yeah.
A 3-year-old, don't assume you know what's going on with them because they have a tantrum. Don't assume you know what's going on with their household because your child had a tantrum at that age and how you dealt with them and how you interacted with them. You don't know their story. For real.
Yeah.
You can become curious about it. Maybe they just, I have this new process that I'm processing out right now, and it's that everybody, it's these 6 things that seem to be core, fundamental factors in life. One is presence.
Okay.
Right? Everybody is present. Whether you are present to your presence or you're not, you're here.
Yeah.
In a body form. And so you have an invitation to be present for every experience you experience. And next to presence is curiosity. When we become curious about the presence of somebody in our presence, the presence of me interacting with whatever that presence is, then it expands and it opens up because now I'm curious about what just happened.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm present to be able to say, wow, the bees was just all over the table. We just dumped them out.
Yeah.
Right? And after that, you go into presence, curiosity, awareness. Where is my awareness?
Yeah.
Is my awareness busy with, oh my God, we got beads everywhere?
Where?
Or is my awareness with, that was just an interesting experience that actually brought us a little joy into the process, something different, something unexpected, something that you couldn't plan out. Even if we said, okay, we're going to open up the pack and we're going to drop them all over the place. Like, you can't plan this stuff out. So to be aware of what's going on with you in your presence in every present moment. And the 3 things that people look to receive is 1, allowance or acceptance. First, allowance, Kabbalah, I want you to receive me. And even if you don't receive me, I want to receive myself. Everything is ultimately about me being present with myself, being curious, and being aware. And also when it comes down to allowing or to receive from whatever experience I'm receiving, I want to receive me first. And then I want you to receive me. But if I receive me, then I can receive you. And ultimately we create this flow of receiving one another at whatever state that we're in. And from receiving, the next thing that we want is kind of joint is, I want to belong. I want to belong and I want to be understood. So when I belong, first thing is, who do I belong to and what do I belong to?
Yeah.
So I love to play this game with nature because it make it the easiest with belonging. People tell me I don't belong nowhere. I don't have nobody these are my people that I belong to, or this is the place that I can say my roots are from. Everybody's roots come from somewhere, but I belong to the grass when I go walk on it. I belong to the earth that holds me up when I'm walking. it's stable. It's constantly stable. And even if it's shaken, the earth is shaken. I'm not shaken.
Yeah.
And I belong to that earth that's shaken. I belong to the sun that's shining, the wind, the air. So when I feel that I don't belong anywhere, I can always remember that I belong to all of these gifts and beauties and creations that were created, not specifically for Rukama. They were created, and I get to be a part of their creation. Yeah. And it's the same thing with other people. And the last thing is maga, kilo, touch.
Yeah.
Or you can be touched by a conversation. You could be touched by what we're saying. You could be touched physically. You could have a financial exchange, which is a touch. We always being touched in some type of way.
Yeah.
The question is, how are you being touched?
Yeah.
And do you like the way that touch is feeling for you, or is that touch an engagement that I want more of or I want less of? Well, how are you being touched? And those 6 things in this, it almost seems like every other day I'm given a new process.
Yeah.
It just downloads to me. And I began to create it into a formula that worked to be easily understood, to help people tap further into themselves and understanding that I'm no different than you. But I'm very different than you. Yeah. I'm very different from you because my birth story, my birth reality, I came to 2 parents. I'm my father's oldest and only daughter. I'm my mother's youngest and second daughter.
Yeah. So that's already a
reality.
Reality.
That's already a reality. That's totally different.
Yeah.
You are me and your father's daughter, right? Together you are our only daughter.
Yeah.
You are the child in the family that's the second from the youngest.
Yeah.
Your story, where was I when I was carrying you? Where was your father? What was going on around us? That's your unique blueprint in the earth. So it's 8 billion blueprints in the earth.
Unique.
And different.
And not the same, and from the same family and everything, but not the same.
But we're still the same.
Yeah.
Because we still arrived here as the creation that was intended to be here in this now reality. And excuse me, go ahead.
No, I broke you up.
No, go ahead.
And I was just thinking about how, in our own, tapping into, the belonging to be here as well, but in our own belonging to be here, in our own unique birth story, if you think about the intricacies of you even being brought into existence, into the family that you were brought into the dynamic that you were brought into the parents and siblings and community and culture and race and structures that you were born into.
Even sex,
that you were born into, and how you belong to be here. And so then if you're able to extend that, every other person all of the 8 billion people that are here on this planet with their own unique journeys and lives and stories are also people who belong here and who deserve to be here in the same capacity, in the same manner that you deserve to be here, even if you perceive them as different to you.
It takes me into 2 places. The first place is A Course in Miracle. Nothing real can be threatened.
Yeah.
And nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the presence of God.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one is what is love? The Bible verse about love.
Yeah.
Love is this, love is that, love is that.
Love is patient, love is kind.
Love doesn't boast.
It doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it is not
It doesn't
proud.
keep records. It doesn't easily anger.
Yeah.
So if you really understand and internalize that, it's like each one of us are given that opportunity.
Yeah.
That love is Rukama because.
Yeah.
Love is not Bhati because. Love is kind.
Yeah.
Love is gentle.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not disservice others. It keeps no records of wrongs. It does not, or they don't say it does not disservice others.
It does not easily anger.
Does not easily anger. Does not something in something, but rejoices in truth. Something
it
like
rejoices in truth and goodness. It rejoices in... Oh, wow.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
When I do say my morning prayers, when I'm in the flow season, then that's my first, I open it up with that.
Mm-hmm.
we read that, I first heard that like and like really internalized it. And when I was 15, we were in the hospital, and this was probably a couple of days after I had been in the hospital. And I wasn't going home. It was that month-long stay. So I just knew I wasn't going home. And I think those first days I just stayed in the hospital room. And that was the first day we had went outside to the courtyard and sat down. And I don't know how that had came up on your phone. And it was a part of a bigger conversation that we were having. But I just remember how impactful those moments were, and how that even just that whole verse just gave me a framework for love that was just very tangible. Because if you just think about that and think about yourself in situations, if you think love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not easily angered. So in the spaces that you find that you're so easily angered and easily bothered, it's a great opportunity to ask yourself, where is the love in that space? It does not dishonor others.
Yes.
It is not self-seeking.
It's 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. This is a different.
I was about to say this is a different verse. Let me see.
Let me look for it. Okay.
Wow, and I love this verse. I love it so much. And it's nothing I grew up on. It's nothing it was just something that I just, yeah.
It's like when we met
it was it was just at a time where it was so, that reintroduction and redefinition of love was so important, and it was so integral to the way that I've carried myself since then. So
between that and I'll Rise Up by Adele, that was
that's not even Adele.
Oh, who is it?
Somebody else.
Excuse me. We didn't gave Adele. That wasn't you. Sorry, baby.
Sorry, mommy. That wasn't you, mommy. Okay. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love this.
Ooh. All right.
That's one of them ones.
That's right. One of those ones. How does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Like just hearing us share a verse from the scripture, right?
Yeah.
What does that do for you? That's on the portion that I was saying, this new gift I've been given, that's touch.
Yeah.
How did that just touch you? Did that touch you on the emotional level?
Yeah.
Did that touch you on a physical level? Could you picture someone who loved in this way? Could you picture someone who doesn't love in this way? Like, where did that take you?
Did you recoil?
Yeah.
Did you feel like, oh, that's not, here
they go again.
Yeah. Did you feel like maybe that's not of your, of your faith and of your, I think, because I thought about that right now, and in this whole conversation of difference, I think about in earlier stages of my life how much I have been closed off to receiving because I perceived it as different than whatever I knew. So like, I would see this, I'm like, this is from the Christian Bible. This don't have nothing to do with me.
Right.
This is irrelevant, and I could just discard the whole, this has nothing to do with me. And it's something that's so profoundly impacted me. And in that moment, I was receptive, because what else did I have to lose?
What else, right?
What else did I have to lose? It was just worth it. So I think in those moments, even if you find yourself resisting some kind of idea or something that you perceive as different or not of your own belief system, what nugget of truth might be in there.
Because in my own world, I grew up on love is doing the right thing to and for one another. Yeah. So it's like, what's different than that? Yeah. It just gives you more details. It paints a bigger picture for you. It's like a sculpture. And I can see it coming alive as I'm saying, oh my God. Yeah. I'm judging. I'm boastful. I'm arrogant. Am I loving? It's like a guidepost for me.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think a part of it let me open it again. But a part of it that I really, really love is, and this is my own, and this is in my own journey with myself, is it keeps no record of wrongs. And that's so key. I think that's so key. And when I hear it, it makes perfect sense. And I think about areas in my life or areas and connections where maybe I am keeping some kind of score.
Right.
Or I have kept some kind of score. And it's like when I think about this, it keeps no records of wrongs. It allows me to free myself from the idea and the belief that I even have to hold on to something that is not relevant in this moment. And so
that I've made wrong. Again, the difference in who somebody is and me coming up with a predetermined ideal of what's right, what's wrong. If you dress this way, you're wrong. If you dress this way, you're right. If you smoke, you're wrong. If you don't smoke, you're right. If you experience trauma, you're wrong. If you didn't experience trauma, your parents supposed to do it this way. This one's supposed to do it that way. It's so many just levels of it. And ultimately, the person who is responsible for your process and your healing is going to be you.
Yeah.
There's
At the end of the day, nobody else can do it. Because it didn't impact anybody else the way it impacted you. It happened and it lived inside of your body and your own emotions and your own life. And so anything that somebody else can offer you can just be a tool for your own introspection and your own, like this right here. This is a verse that maybe I could have read it, or maybe I've read it a bunch of times before. Maybe I had seen that. Maybe I had come across it. But up until then, it wasn't necessarily a tool. And then now it's like, how do we use these things that are maybe gifted to us or are shown to us, and you can use it as a tool in real life? Or if I feel myself getting off a track or a path, I can read it, and it allows me to redirect myself into to come back into presence and to come back into curiosity, awareness and connection,
right?
And to not close myself off.
Yeah. Okay. I think that we have,
you guys. I feel like we went here and there
and everywhere. As I like to say, I'm here, there, and everywhere.
Let go of the attachment to the outcome.
That was a great reminder to start this one with.
It with. So,
we pray that you receive some nuggets, some tools. Enrichment from this conversation. And even if it doesn't enrich you and it calls you to go into yourself, and even if it angers you, and even if it calls you to be judgmental or whatever it calls you to be, it's actually none of our business. So for us, however it meets you, we pray that it guide you deeper and further into yourself, to be curious about what am I meeting when I interact with this.
Yeah.
And Let's pull one more card. Let's see what we're going to come up with for you and for us. Oh. You're not pulling one? Yeah.
I don't want to do this. But you know what? It says draw a picture together in 30 seconds. So how can we make that possible? Oh, okay. All right.
We could have drew a picture with the beads.
Yeah, we could have.
How we gonna know it's 30 seconds?
Well.
Put a timer.
We can set a timer. And then, okay.
And then I'll ask my question before we start the picture for the 30 seconds, and we're going to leave you with that. And we hope that we are, as I love to say, a household favorite. You share us with your friends, your family.
I just look down at so many beads on this floor.
On the floor, on the shelf, yeah.
I didn't even see it.
I have some Ripui bead souk to handle.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'll do it with gladness. So we need 30 seconds.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Stopwatch. Okay.
All right.
So my question is going to be, what would be the perfect gift for me?
What would be the perfect gift for you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. That's always, I don't know. The perfect gift for you?
Ask yourself that.
If you're asking me, I think probably the perfect gift for you is maybe a vacation. Maybe a vacation, maybe like a little, like a retreat of some sort, a space to meet more people, interact, more deeply with some new modalities and more things that you can just learn and expand.
Mm-hmm. And if I asked you that, if you asked me that about you, what would be the perfect gift for you?
Yeah.
Definitely similar, but instead of a retreat, definitely some type of trip to a new place where you get to interact with people, new people, or new cultures, and I think that would be a perfect gift.
That is my goal. That's the gift. That's the gift I'm gifting to me.
Okay, so know that we love you. Share us, make comments, do whatever resonate with you, and we're gonna see you after we show you the picture. We're gonna tell you how much we love you, and we're gonna say one love. We're gonna keep moving. All right, let's go.
All right.
Wow, this is going to be very interesting. Go in your space.
All right, that was 30 seconds.
Oh, that was 30 seconds. See what happens when you get caught up. All right, so this is our picture.
I don't think you see it. But this is what we created.
Maybe we'll take a picture and put
Thoughts,
it at the end.
Comments, opinions on this is an abstract, piece of contemporary art. So
right. And see who you can create it with.
You guys.
All right.
Key. And
One love. We'll catch you on episode 13.
Hey.